Change Your POV podcast is about challenging yourself to be open, humble, and honest about things you are unfamiliar with, don't have experience in, or straight up disagree with.
We will explore concepts and ideas that will challenge you physically, mentally, and spiritually. The foundation of your success is rooted in trust, gratitude, and forgiveness.
So join us each week as we tackle topics in the areas of book reviews, military news, entrepreneurship, professional development, tips and tricks, tools that we use, and good old-fashioned jackassery.
Join us over at changeyourpov.com or on your social media platform of choice. You are listening to the Change Your Point of View podcast, where perspective is the vantage point of success.
Hello, everyone, and huge shout out to everyone that's currently on the Clubhouse listening to this live recording of the Change Your Point of View podcast on this fine Sunday morning. It's Super Bowl Sunday, sir.
Super Bowl Sunday.
So who are you rooting for?
The Bucks.
Yeah. Any reason why? Besides
two reasons. So besides Tom Brady, yes, because I'm a longtime New England fan, because that's basically where I grew up.
Yep.
Between there and Chicago. So Chicago Bears, my NFC team. AFC team is the Patriots. And then a close second, maybe third for me on the NFC side is the Bucks, because we have family that lives there, and I, have gone down there a few times. And, when you have family in an area, a lot of times it's the same way I'm also a Denver Broncos fan. So
yeah, me too.
Because my whole family lives in Denver. Well, you grew up out there.
Right, yeah.
So that was the closest team to where you grew up, right? So
pretty close, yeah. I mean, I grew up in Nevada.
Yeah,
and
but
there was like nothing.
But who wants any bullshit California teams? So
no, yeah, it was like the Raiders and the Chargers.
Well, now the Raiders are in Vegas, bro.
I know.
So isn't that crazy?
It is crazy. Can you imagine? Oh God, that would be awful practicing in Vegas. It's so hot, man.
Well, I'm sure. I think they have those indoor like bubbles,
God,
like the dome.
I would hope so.
The indoor dome things. Yeah. You know what I'm talking about,
yeah.
Right?
And I will tell you though,
big inflatable things.
Like seriously though, dry heat's way different than the humidity though, right?
I know, bro. I spent plenty of time at Nellis.
Yeah, yes, you get it. Yeah,
I get it. Yeah, and I remember standing on a firing line, just literally burying my ass in brass in the isosceles. So if you know, you know. The isosceles position, just standing there, literally back's cramping up, ass is cramping up, everything's cramping up as we're just dumping magazine after magazine into, basically forcing my body to muscle memory into that position.
Right.
And I swear to Christ, for a year, that's how I walked around. So, just saying.
That's awesome.
I'm not going to tell you why I was doing that in Nellis, because it's not like it's some super secret squirrel thing, but it's not shit that I'm going to talk about either. So
yeah, you had a lot of extra ammo you had to burn through before.
Yeah,
it
me
expired.
and a bunch of guys had a bunch of ammo that was about to go to the expiration bin.
Right.
So we used it in practice for something else.
Nice.
So
excellent. So you've heard, anyone that served in the military, you're familiar with, like, you put too many rounds through a barrel in a short period of time, you could burn the barrel up, right?
Oh, burn it right out.
Yeah, and
burn the grooving out. You do all kinds of stuff.
Well, I heard of all that before, obviously, but it wasn't until we were in Iraq, man, and we got into a pretty sizable firefight. And we were just laying down the rounds, bro. Like my gunner, we had a two.
What do you mean you didn't stop and do barrel changes?
Well, no, we didn't.
I'm just kidding.
There was we had a 240 Bravo. Well, we went through a couple of different cruiser weapons. We switched between a 240 Bravo and a 50 cal. On our truck, and some trucks.
You guys didn't ever carry Mark 19s, did
well,
you?
Well, here's the thing. we brought them, had them, but we weren't allowed to mount them or use them because it was, at the time we were there, it was against the rules of engagement because of collateral damage, right?
Well, at the other side of that too is you guys were mainly an urban. I mean, you were doing convoy escort stuff, right?
Yeah, route security. Yeah, very
route security.
Yeah.
So, at the end of the day, I don't know. It's one of those things. Like, don't get me wrong. I like the Mark 19. It's a fun weapon.
It is fun,
and it definitely has its purpose. But not usually when you're doing route security. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I would think about the Mark.
It's not a.
Well, the thing about the Mark 19 is you just got to lob some rounds out there and then walk them onto your target, right?
Right, absolutely.
And when you're in Baghdad in a densely populated area, when you're doing that, you're walking those rounds like through a schoolyard, couple of kids' front yards before you.
Not good shot to use that weapon.
No. So anyway. So we got into this firefight, and we did have a spare 240 Bravo barrel, but it was in the barrel bag, like buried in the back of the truck somewhere.
I get it.
You know what I mean?
It's probably full of dust and everything else, too.
Like, we knew we had it. We didn't exactly know where it was. And it definitely wasn't readily accessible. But when we got done with that, and it was at night, too, right? So by the time we got done, you didn't even, dude, you could just see the barrel just red hot, just glowing. Smoking.
Yeah, man.
Oh, it was like, holy Jesus, look at that.
Yeah.
Like, don't touch that.
And they never really made the reinforced barrel for that yet, which has got the higher heat tolerance. It's like thicker.
Yeah, right. But God, that can spit some rounds, man. Holy moly. Whew.
Yes, it can.
Yeah. So back to the Super Bowl real quick. Did you see that Tom Brady and Gronk T-Mobile commercial?
No, I haven't.
Oh my God, bro! you gotta go watch that. As a matter of fact, we're gonna go ahead and watch it right now. Oh, you probably can't because you got your phone on.
No, I can't.
All right,
hold on.
Watch it right now. I'll even cut a section out of the show when I'm in post-production, but you got to see that. It is marvelous. And for those of you listening to the show right now, if you haven't seen it, just go to YouTube and just type in Tom Brady T-Mobile commercial, and it's a commercial with Tom Brady.
Does it say it's banned?
Yeah, it's banned from being played on the Super Bowl.
Oh my God! Yeah, well, of course it is.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't it be? Everything's fucking banned.
Everything's got to be. I don't know what the justification is.
You know what? It's probably a ploy, just so people go watch it more.
Oh, it could be like an internal. T-Mobile's like, tell everybody it's banned.
Yeah, exactly. It's all fucking farce.
And we're not sponsored by T-Mobile, by the way. To full disclosure, it's just a funny commercial.
I actually hate T-Mobile.
Yeah. But they don't have the coverage.
No,
I have
to.
I mean, it's not that I'm a huge fan of Verizon, but it's really the only thing that has coverage where I live.
Ah, shit, that's funny. Mom. Mom. Yeah.
Yeah, my football pants.
Oh my God.
1 minute later.
I'm not soft or weak either. All right, I get it. I know why it's banned. If it is actually banned.
Why?
It's toxic masculinity.
You think?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I don't know. I'm just fucking bullshitting. But either
It's
way,
funny.
I can see people being, that's a toxically masculine video. We should ban it from everywhere.
But yeah, that's a pretty creative commercial. I enjoyed it.
It is
very
pretty
much
funny.
so.
All they heard was, but.
Yeah.
Holy Christ.
I guess I'm retiring from retirement.
Retirement? Ma, where's my pants? Yeah, I know he wouldn't be screaming for his mom because I don't know if he's married yet.
Oh, I don't know. He probably still does live with his mom.
No. His girlfriend's hot.
Yeah. Maybe
just saying.
Maybe him and
him
and his girlfriend are living with his mom.
Whew.
Oh, Jesus. Okay. Enough of that jackassery. We're getting into our book today. About Face.
face.
About face. We are on now, chapter 12, the Vanguard, sir.
Yeah. All right, we ready?
I'm ready.
When Hack came to take command, we were on a field problem. He tagged along for a week or 10 days, just observing and saying nothing. Finally, at the change of command ceremony, which was in a field, he said something to the effect of, "Gee, this sure is a good company, and I'm proud to take command of it. But you ain't seen nothing yet. Just wait till I'm done with you." My thoughts at the time, and those of my peers, were, he's not going to be able to teach us anything. He's just a muscle-bound, egotistical SOB who will probably end up ruining a very good rifle company, and we're proud to be in. Boy, were we wrong. First Sergeant Jack Fry, U.S. Army, retired. Fire team leader, squad leader, Company D, 1st of the 18th Infantry, Germany from 1960 to 1962. Let's get something straight from the start, Captain. This is him talking still.
Yeah,
so
I love this.
What's that, Top? Now, for those of you that don't know, first sergeants, master sergeants, a lot of times we call them top in the military.
Yep.
There's all kinds of reasons for that, but a lot of times just, we call them top. I've only had one first sergeant that allowed you to call him top.
Really?
But I've had a bunch of master sergeants, and even sergeant majors that, top was acceptable. You're the skipper. You command this outfit, but I run it. Don't forget, I run it. So counseled my first sergeant, Master Sergeant James J. Sweeney, as if by way of introduction, I could have hugged him. Sweeney's record spoke for itself. 4 combat jumps with Jim Gavin's 505 105th Parachute Regiment in the 82nd Airborne, attendantly fighting with distinction across Europe, and then in Korea 6 years later. Now this leathery old soldier was 20-some years experience, who still carried all his worldly goods in 2 duffel bags, stood straight as a West Point plebe before me with deep-set eyes, challenging and confident as he told me the lay of the land in Delta Company, 1st of the 18th Infantry. And I couldn't have agreed with him more. I found myself with a commander's dream, a great enthusiastic unit ramrodded by the best NCO Corps I've seen since Trieste. The NCOs were real professionals from here to eternity types, most with World War II and Korean combat experience, who knew what they were doing, did it well, and made my job a breeze. In garrison, I seldom had to give an order if I looked at my watch and said, "Top, it's time to fall the company out." The first sergeant's response would be, "They're out in the company street, sir." Like 4 rows of corn. If I said, "Sweeney, are we set for the alert?" His reply would be, "Yes, sir. The troops are leaning forward in their foxholes." It was about this time I finally concluded that the Army, if it hadn't had the ongoing requirement of producing senior officers, wouldn't need good lieutenants or even good captains at the company level as long as it had good sergeants. I'd probably sensed this all along, but it had taken me 16 full years to know it was a military truth. In a company, one of the main things that was needed was continuity. Officers were moved from job to job so frequently, I'd seen it time and time again in Korea, and they could provide little of what a wizened old sergeant could. Among the other essentials, besides raw leadership, were hands-on knowledge and good common sense. In these regards, an experienced senior sergeant was usually far better qualified to lead than the average company-grade officer. No doubt it was a bit biased. I was a bit biased, but I found that by giving my non-coms, which is non-commissioned officers. The free reign I'd had as far back as Trieste under Captain Eggleston. They pulled like hell for me, and with Sweeney and his NCOs anticipating every drill, D Company ran like a well-greased machine.
Mm-hmm. Now, how much of that belief stemmed from his prior experience as a combat non-com, right?
Probably all of it.
Right. And so I think there's, that's the tough thing, because you got a lot of officers out there that literally joined the military from the very beginning as an officer. So they probably, a lot of officers that fall into that category probably do at some point come to that realization that, hey, if we got good solid NCOs, we don't, they can take the lead. But I think some of those officers may take a little bit longer to come to that conclusion. And then you have my experience, we had officers that just felt like they had to be in charge of everything and didn't let their NCOs do what NCOs are supposed to do, right?
Yeah.
And in those cases, they weren't generally, captains and majors and lieutenant colonels. Those were generally your second lieutenants and sometimes your first lieutenants. You got to kind of coach them and be like, listen, sir, you got to stay out of my lane here. This is my role. This is my job. I'm not getting into your business. Stay out of mine. Right.
Right. For sure.
And I highlighted this section of the book that I found interesting, but I also find it very transferable into your life now, like in a corporate environment. So I'll just read this. So every Friday night we had a beer call, or somewhat formal exercise that all battle group officers attended. Promptly at 1800, so that's 6 p.m., the battle group band, an ad hoc little team composed of eager battle group medics and litter bearers, whose renditions probably had J.P. Sousa rolling in his grave, would begin the play, and we'd start drinking from a huge German beer steins, each personalized with the officer's name and embossed with the 118th Infantry insignia. During the evening, Colonel Johns would give a little speech recapping the past week's events. Then he'd present the Fogawi Award, a wooden plaque with an infantry blue background on which was printed a caricature of an Indian, a big nose, busted feathers, broken arrows, tomahawk, and so forth. The legend that accompanied this prize was that there was once an Indian tribe that was always lost. At the Battle of the Little Bighorn, Sitting Bull had tasked this tribe to go out down a ravine and come up behind Custer's Easy Company, but then went down the wrong ravine and, as usual, got lost. The chief of the tribe realized his error, went up to the top of the hill, and called out mournfully, "Where the fuck are we?" Resonating throughout the hills, his call sounded like Fogawi. And Sitting Bull said, from now on, they will be known as the Fogawis. In the 118th, the Fogawi Award went to the company or individual staff officer responsible for the biggest snafu or screw-up of the week. Johns would give a kind of humbling but often hilarious recapitulation of how it had gone. In this neat way, lessons were learned and admonishments given, but no one was hurt because it was all in good fun. So I think there's a lesson in there, right? Far too often, I've seen, especially in the corporate world and even in the military, whenever people made mistakes, sometimes even trivial mistakes, they're like crucified for it, right?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
And when you do that, it sends this message like, I cannot make a mistake. And what ends up happening is now you end up with a workforce that they don't really stretch themselves or try too hard or go the extra mile or overextend or try new things because
they become fucking liars.
Or, yes, right, exactly. Or they, point the finger at someone else or try
won't
to
take advantage. They won't take responsibility for their shit.
Exactly. So I think as leaders, whether you're in the military or in a civilian sector, if you're a leader, or even if you're not a leader, you can lead by example, right? And you have to find a way to make mistakes. You have to be able to talk about them. You have to be able to convey the message that it was a mistake and we need to work on that in the future. But you got to do it in a way that is humbling, self-deprecating a bit, and you got to have fun with it, right? And you got to make it so it's okay. I mean, and that's the thing, right? When you're in the military, the time to make mistakes is when you're training, right? Because that's how you learn. And if you make those same mistakes in combat, you or somebody within your command are going to die. And I understand in the civilian world, it's not really so much about a matter of life or death, but it could be depending on your job, right?
Absolutely.
This week, I got an announcement from a CO2 supplier. That the CO2 supplier also provides nitrogen in different aspects of the production process. And there was a poultry factory I think it was in Georgia somewhere, where I don't know if it was nitrogen had leaked, or if it was something had to do with nitrogen anyway. So there's really two things about liquid nitrogen that could cause harm. One is, if you get it on you, it could burn, right? The second one is if it evaporates really quickly in an enclosed room, it displaces oxygen, so you actually suffocate. Well, there was a horrific accident where 6 people died and over a dozen people were evacuated to the hospital as a result of a nitrogen accident. And like I said, either they suffocated and died, or they were horrifically burned and died. I don't know which, but regardless, right? So somebody probably made a mistake, right? And it's those catastrophic mistakes that you want to avoid. But the way to do that is to identify little mistakes. Because generally, huge catastrophic mistakes, they don't happen all at once. It's generally a culmination of a bunch of little things that kind of lead up to that, or in culmination of, right? So, little things like, people start getting lackadaisical when it comes to inspections. And, they start pencil whipping shit instead of actually doing the actual, inspection.
Absolutely.
Things like
For
that,
sure.
right? And that's how it eventually, really, really bad things can happen. So I think that's just a lesson here. Find a way to make mistakes. For me, in my case, in my office, I have a folder on my whiteboard, and it's called the folder of shame.
The folder of shame.
Folder of shame, and it's visible to everybody. And you could go in my office, grab the folder of shame, and you can kind of flip through. And it's just like printouts of emails or other things that's just, examples of like stupid mistakes that people make. And of course, I'm in there. I'm human. I'm not infallible. So there's some like silly things that I've done, working there, and it's just kind of a fun way to, I don't know, rib each other, poke fun at, everyone's mistakes. As long as you're including your own, it's okay. But I thought this was just kind of an interesting way that Johns did this by doing this beer call, and then, giving out the weekly Fagawi Award for people that make mistakes. I thought it was pretty cool. We've identified a couple of articles today. The first one, we're going to...
That's really funny.
I don't know what it is. Every time I see these articles about our
Space Force.
Space Force.
Space Force.
So the title of this is... Now, I don't know exactly what a floaty boy is. What is it?
Boys. Floaty boys.
Floaty boys. Okay, so the title of the article, it's in military.com. Floaty boys and homeospatians. Space Force reveals a list of rejected troop names.
Well, because we talked about this in a previous episode. So what are they called again? I can't.
The Guardians is what they came up with.
Oh, that's it. Yes, the Guardians.
But it's interesting to hear some of the choices that they picked.
Yeah, some people actually submitted these. Yeah,
right. Over 400 suggestions on what to call members of the military's newest branch were submitted by the Space Force and Air Force. So as much as we were joking around about Guardians, listen to some of these contenders. Are you ready?
I am.
Wookiees.
Oh my God.
Homo Spacians.
Well, you know the Wookiee part?
Yeah.
That's comes from the Marines.
Oh, it does?
Oh, it's kind of disparaging term, but a lot of for some reason, I'll just say it. They somehow female Marines got dubbed as Wooks.
Oh, I didn't know this.
Yes. So
Huh. Interesting.
Anyway,
that's a very sexist term.
it's quite sexist, but
Wooks.
yet
But what does it
Wooks.
stand for? Or was it?
Wookiees, Wookie, yeah. It's because I think there was, back in the day, there's a lot of, like, the only women that joined the Marine Corps were kind of furry. I don't know, something like that. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
You get what I'm saying? I don't want to get banned on YouTube here, so it's, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Got it. So their legs could have done well with a
Maybe,
razor.
among other things, probably.
Got it. Wooks.
So, yeah.
Homo Spacians, right?
Homo Spacians is hysterical to me.
The Anti-Gravity Gang. Rocket Men. Floaty Boys. What else do we have here? Hold on. Other suggestions included Starmen, Rangers. We all know why Rangers.
Space Rangers?
No, just Rangers. Starmen and then Rangers, yeah. And then Gladiators, oh God. Cadets.
Oh my God.
Trekkies, in honor of the popular Star Trek
That
franchise.
doesn't make any sense.
Luminaries.
Luminaries?
And Stargents. Not sergeants, Stargents.
Stargents.
Yes.
Oh my Lord.
Last year, General John J. Raymond, Chief of Space Operations for the Space Force, said the service was sifting through nearly 700 crowdsourced names of what to call it Space Force professionals. In December, then Vice President Mike Pence made the official announcement that Space Force members would be called Guardians. Soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, and Guardians will be defending our nation for generations to come, Pence said during a ceremony the day before the Space Force's first birthday. Space enthusiasts and military members were quick to point out that Guardians invokes the Marvel Comics Guardians of the Galaxy film franchise about a motley crew of space heroes or superheroes in space. Guardians of the Galaxy was also a submission according to the service list. In 2016, the Air Force unveiled its list of rejected names for its new stealth B-21 bomber, which was ultimately named Raider after the Doolittle Raiders, the World War II era bomber crew who launched morale-boosting strikes on Tokyo after the Japanese attack of Pearl Harbor. The rejected bomber names included Exploity McBombface.
McBombface. Jesus.
McLove You Bomb Time. McLove You Bomb Time.
Oh my God.
God's Finger, and even Donald J. Trump. Wow. So on this article, there is the full list of rejected Space Force names.
There's so many.
There are over 700
Vanguardians.
Shielders, Shieldmen.
Good Lord, anyway.
Sky Tractors, Solars.
Challengers, Constellationers.
Starnaut.
Corpsmen.
The Fleet, Titans.
Astroforce. I mean, come on. Astro Gators?
Zero G's.
God, Lord.
Stellar Protectors. Wow, man.
Spacians is great. Outlookers, Patreon, Patrons.
Jetsons.
Oh, my God.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, this is fun.
This is fun. As much as we make fun of Guardians, looks like they had not a whole lot of really good ones to choose from.
Not really. Doesn't seem that way.
No.
Yeah. Well, I mean, come on, man. It's the Space Force.
It is a Space Force. We enjoy rattling their cages a little bit. It's fun.
My Lord.
So if you are a newly minted member of the Space Force or know somebody who is
space professional,
please let us know. We would love to have you on the show. Seriously. Absolutely.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Buckle up, Buttercup.
Buckle up, Buttercup. All right. Are we ready to move on to our next article?
Yeah. Yes.
So this is an article. This is very timely since today is the time of this recording is Super Bowl Sunday. A former Marine artilleryman chosen as Super Bowl honorary captain. So former Marine Staff Sergeant James Martin, a veteran advocate in Pittsburgh, will be on the field Sunday as one of 3 honorary captains chosen by the NFL for the Super Bowl coin flip. In an interview with Military.com, he said he hopes his presence delivers the message that, quote, if we all band together, there's nothing we can't do, end quote. He also wants to impress upon the game's vast TV audience that, quote, we're not done after we put down the uniform, end quote, he added. Martin, 39, a veteran of Iraq and Afghanistan, was named an honorary captain along with Los Angeles educator Tremaine Davis and Susie Donner, a COVID-19 intensive care unit nurse manager at Tampa General Hospital, for their dedication and selfless commitment to helping others, the NFL said in a statement. Quote, we are honored to recognize these 3 individuals who represent the best in all of us, said NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell. During this incredibly challenging time in our lives, Tremaine, Susie, and James have exemplified the essence of leadership, each in their own way. Before the game Sunday, pitting the Tampa Bay Buccaneers against the Kansas City Chiefs, presidential inauguration poet Amanda Gorman will recite an original poem dedicated to the 3 in recognition of their tremendous impact during the unprecedented year, the NFL said. Martin, who served with the 10th Marines Artillery Unit on 2 deployments to Iraq and 1 to Afghanistan, was cited for his work in supporting veterans, high school athletes, and local youth in the Pittsburgh area. He is also a co-host of a veteran breakfast club podcast called The Scuttlebutt, which has served as an outlet for vets to tell their stories and to stay connected. I've never heard of them. I'm going to have to check them out.
Yeah, I'm a subscriber. I listen.
Yeah, is it good?
Not to every. I mean, it just started, it was like mid last year, maybe.
Oh, so pretty new?
Maybe like right around the COVID, like when COVID started.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not positive when they decided, but I want to say it was like March or April, and I can't remember where I heard about it from. But they've got, they've been pretty steady. I think it's like every other week, maybe. Sometimes they, it seems like they might record in batches or something.
Yeah.
But I think they're like 30-something episodes in.
Okay.
So I listen every once in a while.
Yeah, the Scuttlebutt. So go check it out.
Yeah.
We're always for promoting other fellow veteran podcasts. Hell yeah. He said the idea of connection was the principle behind everything in the podcast, Martin said, given social distancing during the pandemic. For many years, it's very hard to be left to your own devices. Some of us have those demons come back from battlefield experiences, he added. Martin learned that he had been chosen as an honorary captain from the bus Hall of Fame Pittsburgh Steelers running back Jerome Bettis while on a Zoom call with other veterans. Mm-hmm. Bettis jumped on the call to tell Martin that he had been going to the Super Bowl in recognition of his work, adding, quote, what you guys are doing means so much to so many of us. Thank you for your service you're providing, brother. We appreciate you. Martin was momentarily stunned that one of his idols had contacted him, How often are you going to have Jerome Bettis on your phone? He said.
Never.
The call, right? The call was especially meaningful coming from Bettis, who also devotes service to the Pittsburgh community. Martin said, "For him to reach out, that means you've done some good work." That's cool, man. So good job there. I'm looking forward to watching the Super Bowl and checking that out. That's really awesome. So we are just moving right along in this show.
Yeah, this is fast. I don't know. We're not bullshitting as much today. I guess.
We're like getting right through it.
I'm sure we'll get over it, though. We'll get into it here.
We're just leaving a lot of extra time to talk about our topic today, right?
And you know what? Sometimes shorter episodes are what happens. We just let it flow, folks.
Yeah, let it flow. So this week, well, do you have any other military news that you would like to cover?
No, because the only other article that pops out to me is one about hazing.
Yeah, the Marine Corps.
Yeah, like the Marine Corps. Duh.
What is it, like 90% of hazing?
Doesn't surprise me. No, it's not 90%. It's a lot, though. I think there was like 200. So, like, fiscal year 2018, there were like almost 300. Well, I guess it'd be like a third. Mm-hmm. So, there were almost 300 hazing incidents reported. Yeah. And I think 102 of those were attributed to the Marine Corps. And 96 of them, I think, were found being true.
Right.
Well, I used to get the shit hazed out of me when I was in the Corps, man. I mean, the hell.
Well, let me ask.
Started the like rite of passage, kind of.
Well, let me ask you. So, be honest. Do you think there's any place in the military for hazing? It's a hard.
I don't know.
It's a hard one to answer.
It's a difficult question because a lot of that's surrounded in tradition. It's kind of like that whole rite of passage thing.
Yeah.
But I think there's some traditions, like some of the hazing. So some of the things that they call hazing aren't really hazing. But I can tell you this. Yeah, I guess, no, I don't think there is a place necessarily for some of these things. Like, I never participated in a lot of it, just because it felt off to me. So I guess that's your answer. Mm-hmm. Now, I got the shit hazed out of me, but I never, very rarely, maybe like a little bit I might have participated in the ceremony, right? But I never really hurt anybody. I guess it's because I was so anti-bullying, and I guess it kind of that's what it kind of is. Mm-hmm. But yet, some people just, I don't know. It's like they feel like they need to do it because they had it. This is like one of those, it's, I can dive into the psychology behind this, but I'm not gonna. That's a whole
right.
That's a whole lot of shit to unpack right there.
Yeah.
But like in the unit that I was in, we had, blood wing ceremonies. We had, people got their dive bubbles pinned on, and yeah, man. I mean, it wasn't good. But I really never participated.
Have you ever given anybody any blood rank?
What do you mean that?
Yeah, you got you pin like it probably.
Yeah, and no, I never did that. I just never participated in it.
Yeah, so I actually got
the one thing that got hammered for me though was in the Marine Corps. Once you become an NCO, you get what's called a blood stripe,
right,
on your dress blues.
Yeah. So
NCOs and above have a red stripe that goes down the side of their dress blue their dress blue pants.
Yeah.
And it stands for the bloodshed in the taking of, Cuba. So like Guantanamo Bay, something like 90% of all NCOs died in that invasion.
Wow. So
it represents the blood sacrifice to take that, which is now Gitmo, right?
Yeah.
Guantanamo Bay. So, with that being said, as you go through a gauntlet, to celebrate your new rank of corporal, you get punched in the shoulder, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you get kneed in the thigh to represent the blood stripes.
Right.
Me, I basically was on crutches for 2 days
Oh
after.
my God.
Some guys don't get it like that, but I got it like that.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, this is also individual. And yes, it seems draconian to some, but it is part of the traditions, right?
Yeah.
And now they're working hard to change these things. So go
Right.
ahead. Yeah, I know I cut you off with your blood rank.
No, the more they love you, the worse you get it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what's so weird about the military is, like, the more you're respected and the more people like you, like, the worse it can get. Seriously.
Oh, yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah, I actually got an Article 15 for administering blood rank to, like,
Of course you did.
to a PFC. Yeah. It was one of those things that just was a common practice when I was coming up through the ranks back in the day. And it was very common. I mean, it was done in formation by the company commander.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Sergeant.
Right,
I mean,
yeah.
I've seen that done. Absolutely.
Yeah. And all of a sudden, because it was like one of those things where it was like a promotion from E2 to E3, and there was no like formal ceremony. It was just like, here, you can pin these on. You're now PFC, right? And
Right.
I wanted to do something a little bit more ceremonious to kind of, it's a monumental time in a young soldier's life to go from E2 to E3, and I thought that this soldier would appreciate a little bit, and it turns out not so much.
He didn't.
He didn't.
Right? Yeah. No, I mean, and that's a lot of what it is people, it's a kinder, gentler world we live in. And that's not a bad thing. Sometimes it can be, but it's like, I don't know. I don't really have I just know that, again, I never really participated. I'd be like the guy at the end of the gauntlet, and when they would come through, I'd like stop them and shake their hand. Just because that was me. When we were... Now, see here, people, this is the other thing you have to realize. It wasn't everyone. It was everyone that had attained either that rank or had gone to one of the schools and also been pinned, like jump wings or dive bubble or things like that were allowed to participate.
Right.
And then it was on you whether to participate or not.
Right.
And, I just never really played. I always thought it was kind of stupid to take it because you know what it was is there's a lot of people that just took it too far.
Yeah,
like,
you're right.
Give the guy a slug in the shoulder and move on.
Right.
We don't need to,
You don't need to cripple him, put him in a wheelchair for a week.
Well,
right?
and that's part of the issue. If people had just done what I'm saying,
yeah,
this would not be an issue. But in turn, you have some masochistic fuckers in the military who literally want to like hurt people.
yeah,
And it's like, if you get one of those guys that's in charge, we all know them.
mm-hmm.
And if those guys, take it up and whatever, then, it's not going to end up well.
Right.
I never knew of anyone in my unit that got in trouble for it, but I can tell you later, there was a huge fucking scandal. Plus we had a corpsman that I knew that was they had moved him. Well, he was a SEAL. They had moved him from the SEAL teams, and part of his punishment was he got ejected from the SEAL teams for, I want to say it was like a year. And he came to 2nd Recon Battalion as a special amphibious corpsman.
Yeah.
Right. A SARC, amphibious reconnaissance corpsman. He came to us for a year, and that was why. It was because of hazing within the SEAL teams. So, you just it is what it is. And you know what? I'm sorry, but it's not just a military thing. You have hazing in all aspects of life, football, and unfortunately, it's one of those things that men have done it throughout time.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
And you can call it a rite of passage or whatever, but this is one of those things that a lot of people fight back against because they view it as toxically masculine.
Well, it happens in fraternities and sororities at colleges and universities, right?
Yeah, and it still happens every day there.
Right.
So it's really no different. Right. So, you know, I mean, you can be a critic of it, and that's fine. But you know, think back on, and if you know, anyway, it just is what it is, and I don't think it's ever going to stop. I don't think it's ever going to change. It might become less, but there's still going to be some sort of hazing.
What happens is
like life.
It ebbs and flows, right? So it'll go a long time, and no one will ever hear about it. It'll still happen, but nothing really. And then all of a sudden, it's something bad happens, and then it comes into the forefront, and then everyone's got to change it, and then it goes
because people take it too far, and people die, or people get really hurt. And I mean, like, if you go through this article, it talks about a drill instructor putting somebody in a fucking commercial dryer, like an industrial dryer.
Wow.
And I remember when that happened, actually, because it was a Muslim kid. And I don't care. He was in Marine boot camp, and this drill instructor put his ass in an industrial dryer.
Did it kill him?
I mean, not him, but there was another incident where a kid did get killed.
Wow.
And I don't know if it was in the dryer, but I mean, I got hazed in boot camp too. I got burnt with a fucking iron. Because, you know, once you get to a certain point, you're getting smoked on what's called the quarter deck.
Yeah.
Up front, and you're doing push-ups, you're doing all this shit. And I was in my platoon leadership the whole time I was in boot camp. I was either the guide or I was first squad leader. Now, we take responsibility for everything that freaking happens, you know, for the most part.
Yeah.
And I remember being the guide, and I can't remember what happened exactly. It's all kind of a blur. But I was in the front leaning rest position and up on the quarter deck it felt like forever. And I kept putting my ass in the air. And finally the drill instructor was like, I swear to God, stop putting your ass in. And then finally he just went and got an iron.
Oh no.
Plugged it in and put it over my back. And he's like, if you come out of that position, you're just going to burn yourself.
Wow. And
I did, and I burnt myself. And once that happened, though, he was like, "Oh, it's like he realized what he was doing."
He's like, "This is barbaric."
Like, oh, fuck. Yeah,
Jesus.
and this is in the 90s, you know. So
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? I never said a word about it. I never whatever, but you know that I got punched a couple times in boot camp. You know, there's all kinds of shit that was done that could be considered hazing. And you know what, though? I look back on it and none of it ever bothered me.
Right.
It's kind of like a badge of honor.
Yeah. So
so it's one of those things, though. You got to kind of say, you know, yeah, it's one of those slippery slopes, and it's probably better if it doesn't happen. But yet, there's something about it that needs to happen.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, you're right. I think it's a slippery slope, right?
Well, it's what we talk about with the rites of passage.
Yeah, yeah.
It's something. Trust me, I remember those moments because there was some resilience built there. There were some added things that happened that cemented those lessons in my mind.
Right.
And usually when it came to that type of stuff, it was I either was hazed for a good reason, and it cemented in my mind, this is a hell of an accomplishment, or it was a bad thing, and it was cemented that it was a bad thing.
Right.
So I've said this for a long time. There's really two ways that people learn. It's through mindless repetition, and this is a military thing. So, of course, people don't just take this and run and, like, analyze the shit out of it and be like, no, there's more ways to learn than just this.
Right.
But at the end of the day, there really is, and yes, I'm saying it, at the end of the day, there really is two ways that we learn. It's mindless repetition and blunt force trauma.
Yep.
Right? Those are things that they just ingrain stuff in you. And hazing, for me, was a form of learning through blunt force trauma.
Right.
So,
yeah,
go ahead, sorry.
Yeah. And it definitely, I mean, and that's the thing, right? It's got hazing in its purest form really does ride on the edge of the envelope between, because you've got to impart that mental footprint, right? You gotta, you know what I mean? Otherwise the lesson isn't there, right? If the hazing doesn't go far enough, then it doesn't serve the purpose. But if it goes too far, then it causes harm, right?
Yeah, and so often you have literally these sick, twisted sons of bitches that get a hold of it, and they ruin it.
Right.
That's well, the issue.
It was just in an article that I read, I think it was last week or maybe the week before, where there was the Navy SEAL I think it was a couple of Navy SEALs were charged in the death of that third Special Forces group. NCO. Yep. They choked him out and they ended up strangling him and killing him. And then they made it worse by then trying to covering it up, hide it and all that, right? So those guys, and again, it was one of those things where the Navy SEALs are very well known for, choking each other out as part of their internal hazing rituals, and I'm sure they've successfully accomplished that to other people and have had it done to themselves multiple times. And I think that's just what happened. They got a little alcohol in them and decided to grab a hold of that Special Forces guy, and probably meant no. I mean, they probably didn't mean to kill him. They weren't probably mad or angry at him. They just wanted to welcome him into the team, right?
Yeah, to me, that's kind of a. I mean, I'm not a Navy SEAL, but I never choked anybody out as a form of hazing. That's just fucking weird to me.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they choked him out all right, and
yeah, they did.
Yep, and he ended up dying from it, and then they covered it up. So yeah, I think they just handed down the sentences this last couple of weeks ago, right?
Yeah,
pretty rough, man. Oof, that's terrible. No, not condoning that. And then you get into, a lot of in the news lately also has been the sorority and fraternity type, or fraternity, not paternity, hazing that happens in schools. And so a lot of those schools are shutting that stuff down too.
Absolutely.
For a lot of the same reasons. People end up getting, it gets too far, you get alcohol involved, and next thing you know, you got people that are sexually abused, people that are physically abused and emotionally abused, and then instead of it turning into a moment in your life where you can look back and see that as a moment of growth, you look back on it and now it's a wound that you got to then carry with you for the rest of your life, and that's totally not the point of, at least in my mind, that's not the point of a successful hazing, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, because to me, hazing done well is really a rite of passage.
Yes,
right?
Correct. That's what it's for.
Right. Yeah, agreed. Topic of the week. We're going to talk about the Black Sunday Challenge that's coming up here in April. We're gearing up for it now and into March, but it actually starts in April. A lot of preparation work goes into this every year, but it's a great time. This will be our third annual Black Sunday Challenge. So what I'd like to do is just you and I kind of share with our listening audience what this Black Sunday Challenge is, who it's for, how does it work, who can participate, how do you participate, what you can get out of it, all of that. And then we'd also like to talk about other challenges that are available
it's not
out there.
necessarily challenges, but other events that
right,
that like kind of commemorate things or are just cool things to do and prepare for. And there's some workup, so it's about getting fit and doing some mental tough stuff and without being hazed.
Yeah, without being hazed, right. Yeah, so Black Sunday Challenge, this really stemmed from the Battle of Sauter City, April 4th, 2004, or what we commonly known as Black Sunday, 444. And the First Cav Division, First Brigade Combat Team were involved with that, along with the outgoing unit, and we ended up losing, some soldiers in that conflict, and that really kind of started I would say that the sustained combat operations of First Brigade Combat Team in Baghdad for the next sustained 80 days, right? So this is really kind of the launch of it, and it really came from Muqtada al-Sadr, the cleric there, and the Mahdi army, and they just were calling for a jihad or holy war. And it wasn't just in Baghdad. There was a lot of uprising and fighting throughout the country, but it really kind of kicked off right there in Sadr City. And there was a book written by Martha Radzatz on this event called The Long Road Home. And that book had later on been picked up by the National Geographic and turned into a mini docuseries called The Long Road Home. So if you've ever seen that, I don't know, is it a 8 or 9 part series or something? I forget how many parts it was.
I don't remember how many parts, but it's freaking great.
Yeah, and it's like I said, it's a movie. It's a docu-movie series, I guess, if you want to call it that. And it kind of walks you through the events that transpired. Now, it really kind of hones in on the soldiers, and the soldiers that were pinned down and the ones that were lost, as well as those that were going in to try to rescue them. But it didn't capture all of the efforts that happened with the entire brigade, because our entire brigade was enveloped in all of this activity across 3 different FOBs or forward operating bases, and it was quite the operation. But anyway, so
8 episodes.
Oh, was it 8? Okay, 8 episodes. And so every year when 444, April 4th comes around, it's one of those dates that it's an annual date that comes up, and everyone just thinks back on and remembers, and a lot of folks connect on social media. And it turned out, it was like I said, we've been doing this for 3 years, but before we did this, April 4th kind of rolled around, and it was always kind of the time of year where no one looked forward to it because of what it meant, and the bad memories of what happened and those that we lost. And it was very much a somber time of year. And I've had a few people reach out and say, I wish that this time of year just wasn't so
shitty,
so negative, right? And so we were thinking about, how do we bring that community together and still honor and remember those that lost? Because really, it's about honoring and memorializing their service and the family members of those that paid the ultimate sacrifice. And how do we do it in such a way where we can come together and turn it into a more of a positive thing that together as those that are left behind. And so we decided to do the Black Sunday Challenge. And the Black Sunday Challenge consists of, and it's a way to bring community together, but it's a physical challenge, but it's really more community-based, supporting each other kind of thing. So the way it works is the beginning of the month of April, the idea is to complete 44 miles a week for 4 weeks, and that's where you get the 444 from, right? And 44 miles per week, and that could be, 44 miles in any way that you can. You can walk, run, crawl, row, ride, whatever it is, as long as it's under your own power, right? So like a 4-wheeler doesn't work. You got to get out there, move under your own power, and track 44 miles every week, and do that for 4 weeks. And it's easier said than done. Trust me.
It's not easy.
No, but if you stay with it and you come up with a plan, it's achievable, but it definitely pushes you a little bit. And it's a nice way to get outside and do something active. And then we got a community on, it's a Facebook group called It's 04-04-04 that you can come be a part of. And the other thing that one of our participants on the first year said, "Hey, I'm a biker. I do the what do you call it? Not a bike, not like a motorcycle, like a cyclist biker kind of thing.
Yep, a cyclist.
And he uses this app called Strava, and Strava actually tracks your distance and your speed and like all that,
and then allows you to share it with the community.
Right, exactly. So
it like gives you some accountability.
Right. So share with the group Strava and kind of how that works with this project or with this challenge.
So Strava is an app, right? That you download on your smartphone, and what it does is you don't even need like an Apple Watch or a Garmin or whatever type of like Fitbit or whatever. You don't need that. All you need is your phone, and literally put it in your pocket. And what it does is it tracks your stuff by GPS, right?
Yeah.
And you start a workout and you end a workout. You can set it up in a million different ways that whatever it is. And I mean, it's really just a good tracking app for your exercise, you know, whether you run or walk or cycle or whatever. It's just a good all around app to use anyway if you want to track all this stuff. And then with that, you have different communities that are on there. So it's kind of like a social media integrated app along with exercise. So it's good.
Yep.
Gives you some accountability possibly, and or allows you to share your successes.
Right. And so we created a club. There's a club on there called Black Sunday Challenge. And then there's also an event that starts April 1st. And you can just basically track it that way. You don't need the app in order to participate in the challenge. And it's all self-regulated. So
it's completely up to you whether or not you want to use the app. But
right. Yeah. And it's all self-monitored. So you're going to keep track of your own mileage. It's not like there's a website you go to put it. There's not a leaderboard or anything like that. We're not that advanced. So the first year that we did it, one of our participants is like...
Nor do we want to be, because it's not about that.
Right, it isn't. Totally. Right, you're correct. So the first year, one of the participants is like, hey, do we get like the challenge come with like an annual patch or t-shirt or something? And I'm like, I didn't think about that. And I'm like, okay, that's kind of cool. So I researched it and found a website that does patches. And we ended up designing our own, like our Black Sunday Challenge patch. And so we developed the first one. It's called the First Annual Black Sunday Challenge. And it's a first calf patch. And it says, shoot him in the face around the outside, which is our motto when we were there. And then it's got the Black Sunday Challenge. It's pretty cool. And it's got the Velcro on the back, so you can attach it to like a flight bag or your hat or something like that. And everyone really seemed to like that. So we ended up doing that for our second annual, and we're also doing that again for this year's third annual Black Sunday Challenge. And then with your help, we're able to create some T-shirts, so people can get T-shirts and support the challenge. Yeah, so we've got
T-shirts, we'll have sweatshirts and other swag,
Yep. And then in addition to that, I thought what would be really cool during our first year when we were doing this, was like we were podcasting obviously at the time. I was like, it would be really cool to get out and interview some of these folks that served during that period, and even some family members of those that were lost. And so we did that, and we recorded a series of, I think, 13 episodes of Black Sunday episodes, and they are all on the web. If you go to changeyourpov.com and at the top you click on Black Sunday Challenge, it will you can go scroll down there and you'll be able to see the challenge. How do you participate? There's a link to Strava there as well. There's a countdown timer that'll take you to April 1st, so you know how many days you've got left before the challenge begins. And if you scroll all the way to the bottom, you'll see the player that will actually, you could play each of those episodes, and it'll basically play right off of Spotify. So it's really, really cool. That site just went up yesterday. So go check it out. changeyourpov.com. At the top, click on Black Sunday Challenge. And if you want to participate, come be a part of the group. 040404 on Facebook. It's an open public group. Be part of the community. You'll be able to connect with a lot of other people there. that served during that time, and family members of those that served.
And again, I'm just going to reiterate, the 040404 is April 4th, 2004.
Correct.
That's what it stands for. And that was the day of the battle, ambush, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's right. So that's
or at least the beginning of it.
Right.
Say.
Exactly. Yeah. The start of it. And once we get through towards the end, our last segment is archive episodes. We will be sharing our first episode of the Black Sunday called Brotherhood and Camaraderie in Charlie Troop 10th Cav with Salvador Zuniga, which is one of our platoon leaders at the time, part of the Charlie Troop 10th Cav. So, you'll get a chance to listen to that a little bit.
And we'll be using those episodes as our all of our past episodes. What are we calling that?
Archive.
That's the archive episode section of this podcast will be all of those episodes, the Black Sunday Challenge episodes, all the way up until we start the Black Sunday Challenge, which is April 4th of 2021.
That's correct.
Yep. So
that's cool.
And it's free to participate. We don't charge anybody. It's just to be part of this and commemorate it and share it on social media and just, it's some of the history of the military, some of the history of the folks that were there, and it's a way to honor fallen folks and comrades in arms. And we're going to keep doing it. So if you want to be a part of it, it's super easy. Don't require anything. Just show up. And it's 6.3 miles a week, basically, or 6.3 miles a day.
A day, yep.
For 4 weeks. So It's not easy for some, and depending on which way you do it, it's easier like on a bike than it would be by walking, or, even running would be easier to an extent. It's not even that it would be easier. It just takes less time. Yeah. Eddie and I both walk, and I actually walk with a ruck, which is a backpack, for those that don't know what a ruck is, with 44 pounds in it. So I take it one step further, and 44-pound ruck is not anywhere near the heaviest ruck I've ever carried, but it definitely adds a layer of awareness. So
yeah. And it's just a nice way to kind of kickstart the summer too, right at the beginning of the spring.
Yep, for sure.
Nice.
Yep.
Yeah, I enjoy it.
Especially, it's a good way to kick off, at the end of the day, if you're really looking for something to spur a re-entry to physical fitness. It's a way to do it that way too. Yep. Or the way that I look at it is just do what you can. It doesn't mean just because you don't do, 44 miles a week for 4 weeks, doesn't mean you fail if you don't do that. It's about the awareness and thinking about people that have fought for your freedom and your rights. And you might not agree with where they were at or what they were there for, but they did it at the end of the day. They were there for this country.
Right.
So just remember them for that, and don't remember it about the negatives. Try to remember the positive side of it is that those men and women died for the ideal of America. Yeah. And that's what it's really about.
Yeah, I had one participant reach out to me and was like, I want to participate. He has some disability challenges and says, can I just do 44 miles for the whole month? I'm like, whatever
do what you want.
Whatever
is yours. Make it your own.
I had one guy said that he uses this Black Sunday Challenge to not only do the 44 miles per week for 4 weeks, but he also doesn't drink at all during this month. So he uses it kind of like as a month of sobriety. So there's like a lot of different twists that people add to this on their own, which I think is pretty cool.
Yep, for sure.
So there it is. So what are some other things that people can? There's tons of stuff out there, the events and other challenges and other communities.
One of the other big challenge ones actually starts today.
Oh, it does.
Yeah, and I think today registration closes, but it's something you and I have done in the past.
Yeah.
We just did it the once though, but it was the Taji 100.
Right.
And the first Taji 100 was held at former Camp Taji in Al Taji, Iraq, in February of 2010, in the once thriving American base located in a rural region approximately 20 miles north of Baghdad. During the Saddam years, the camp was an Iraqi Republican Guard base central to the production of chemical weapons. And Camp Taji was heavily bombed during Operation Desert Fox, and then came under American control in 2003. So Captain Carol DiPardo, who was a military police woman, created the friendly competition for her and her fellow troops on Camp Taji with the simple goal of running 100 miles during the month of February. And although DiPardo originally established the challenge to promote cardiovascular health and fitness, the run was instrumental in helping stationed U.S. service members relieve stress and boredom during what was often long and tedious deployments. With nearly 300 registered runners and walkers, its first year, the inaugural Taji 100 was a huge success. The current president and chairman of the Taji 100, because now it's a nonprofit,
Yep.
Paul Fukuma, was a participant in that first race while serving as an Army combat medic in Taji, and now he competes in 5Ks, 10Ks, half marathons ever since, to help others follow through with the New Year's health and fitness resolutions. He organized the first stateside Taji 100 in 2011, and Fukuma says, "I see most people's New Year's resolution motivation start to fade after only 1 month. So this competition will help to keep those fitness promises and hopefully get people over that slump in motivation, right?"
Yeah.
So now it's even affiliated with Team Red, White, and Blue. It's walk, jog, run, hike, or even do an elliptical or like a treadmill, like indoors, for 100 miles within the 28 days of February. That's it, every year.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Does that one? Do you have to pay to register? I forget. Do we have to pay
Yes.
to? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I mean, you can do it. Obviously, it's like the same type of thing.
Right.
You can do it on your own, or you can even sign up to do it as teams.
We do like a relay, or like I'll do half and then hand it off to you, and you do the other half.
I don't know. That's kind of stupid.
I know.
But either way, but like they've partnered with, a couple different things. Again, one of which is, Team Red, White, and Blue. They also have a store with swag and all kinds of stuff. But yeah, man, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I can't remember how much it costs, and for some reason they're not. Doesn't say. But either way, last day to sign up is today. But I mean, some people are ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
So like you have people already, and there's a leaderboard and a teams board and all that stuff, right? Where it shows the current leaderboards, right?
It's like 30 minutes into the start of the challenge, people are already
there's
done
somebody
with it,
with
right?
100 miles already,
Right.
I mean, it's not like that, but anyway, there is a guy in Pensacola right now who has, we're 7 days in, and he's already got 200 miles.
Wow.
So they say Taji 100.
He must be a biker, right?
I don't know. He looks like he's a runner.
Really?
Yeah.
You're gonna run 200 miles in 7 days?
Think about Goggins.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Homeboy runs him like or like not just Goggins, but Cameron Haynes. These guys are running a marathon a day.
That's insane.
Sometimes, dude. Yeah, it's absolute insanity.
Where do you find time for that?
Well, if you're a good runner, you can run a marathon in 4 hours and change.
Yeah, but damn. Wow. That's like, wow.
I know, man. I know. Hey, COVID's a motherfucker. Maybe the dude's unemployed. I don't know.
I guess so.
You know what I mean? Maybe he's a running coach.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have time to run 4 hours a day.
And like this guy looks like he might be a veteran himself.
Right. I'm way too busy binge watching some show on Netflix.
He's got his own logo that says "Running for the Fallen."
Oh,
so
that's cool.
This could be a way that he just spends his time.
Yeah.
You know. Well, let's see. Actually, it's got his thing here. He's running 2-a-days.
Nice.
And like one day he ran 10.25 in the morning and then ran 18 in the evening.
My God. You go with your bad self, sir.
The shortest that I've seen him run is 2 miles.
That was a bad day for him.
Or, oh man, you see, here's the other thing. February 1st, he ran 100 miles. It says that.
On the very first day.
Yeah, but it's got him running for 15 hours.
Oh my God.
43 minutes at a 9:25 pace.
Oh. Animal.
But again, that's one. I'd have to look back because maybe that's like one of those ultra marathon events.
Right.
It could have been, there's so many of those now.
Right.
They're super popular where people will go run 100 miles and it'll take them, a full day. Hell to the no, says Bennett. But I'm not built for running. This is why I walk. I'm like the tortoise, but I'll get there.
You get there eventually, yeah.
I'm not the hare. I'm not the hare at all. I'm a tortoise, but I'll get there.
Oh, man.
So that's Taji 100. That's the first. Then, of course, we have some others that are more famous, which it's called a challenge, but it's just a workout, and it's the Murph.
Oh, the Murph, yes.
Yeah, so the Murph. But this is an every year event right around Memorial Day, which, for those that don't know, this is to commemorate the death or the life of Lieutenant Michael Murphy. And this is a big fundraiser that they do every year because there's the Michael Murphy Scholarship Foundation, which is run by, oh God, what's the name of the company? It's Seal. Seal owns it.
Is it Echelon Front?
No. It's a clothing company. And his name, I think, is Mike. His wife's name is Samantha. Forged. That's
Forged.
It.
Okay.
Forged. And I can't remember his actual name. It's Mike. I know his first name's Mike. Anyway, it is also one of the primary means of funding for the foundation on an annual basis, right? So there's the Lieutenant Michael Murphy Memorial Scholarship Foundation, right?
Yep.
So since 2014, Forged has raised over $1 million for the Lieutenant Michael Murphy Memorial Scholarship Foundation through the Murph Challenge campaign. In 2019, the Murph Challenge fundraiser provided a vehicle to raise nearly $250,000 in order to finalize construction of the Lieutenant Michael Murphy Navy SEAL Museum / Sea Cadet Training Facility in Long Island, New York. In addition to that, the only with such overwhelming support and success, the foundation awarded 32 scholarships in 2019 and 2 new scholarships in 2020. This unique Memorial Day tradition takes place throughout the world on 5/25. So we invite you and join countless other participants worldwide. Registration begins April 1st for the Murph Challenge. Yeah.
So that's a one-day event?
That is a one-day event. It's one workout, and the workout consists, and I've done it many times. It's basically, so if you're not in the so it's a CrossFit-based workout, right?
Okay.
It's CrossFit type, I should say. And it is purportedly Lieutenant Murphy's favorite workout, right?
Yeah.
Now, those that don't know who Lieutenant Mike Murphy is, and he is one of the gentlemen that was, it's Operation Red Wings. So he was part of, along with Marcus Luttrell, So you may know that name because of the book and movie of the same title called Lone Survivor.
Yep.
So Lieutenant Michael Murphy was the lieutenant, which is in the Navy is an 03, so it's the same as a captain. He was the team leader of this team that went into Afghanistan to do a mission to observe and report, and they were compromised and ended up fighting to the man, where you had 3 other SEALs died because it was a 4-man team, and the lone survivor was Marcus Luttrell, who is now has his own foundation and podcast, and so he's written a couple books. He also is part of him and his brother, and there's are part of the Team Never Quit podcast, among other things, right? So either way, the Murph is a workout of the day. It's a WOD, that's what they call it, and it consists of doing a 1-mile run, 100 pull-ups, 200 push-ups, 300 air squats, and then another mile run. All in a 20-pound weight vest or body armor.
Wow.
When I've done it, I did it with a pack because I didn't have the 20-pound vest, but I have that amazing GoRuck pack.
Right, yeah.
And I threw, I actually did 40 pounds. It wasn't just a 20-pounder. I did 40 pounds. And because that's just what stays in that pack for me.
Yeah, right.
That ruck. So, yeah. And this is an every year event, along with the, most places that do it. If you sign up, you also get a T-shirt. And it's just a really cool event, man. And it's become obviously since 2014, it's just become an event that so many places do. Like every freaking CrossFit box around the country does it. It's everywhere.
Wow.
So yeah.
That's pretty cool. It reminds me, like, it gives me an idea. We should almost put together like an annual calendar and identify throughout the year all of the different events and publish it somewhere. That would be cool.
That would be cool, actually.
Because you could do like February, you got the Taji 100. You got the Black Sunday Challenge in April. You got the Murph Challenge. When is that, in May?
Yeah, right around Memorial Day.
Right.
Well, it's May 25th.
Right. And then we could find some other ones that are throughout the other months of the year, and maybe there's an event that you could do every month of the year.
Maybe. Yeah.
That would be cool.
Because we're about to talk about another one that takes place in May, but it's a single-day event. Well, it's actually it's April 9th through the 18th. Okay. And this one is it's the Bataan Memorial Death March.
Oh, yes. I've heard of this one.
And this year it's a virtual event.
Yeah.
But it's to commemorate the Bataan Death March, April 9th, 1942. So during World War II, this April 9th, 1942, 75,000 U.S. soldiers and Filipino soldiers were surrendered to Japanese forces after months of battling in extreme climate conditions. U.S. soldiers were from multiple branches of the military, Army Air Corps, Navy, Marines, and among those seized were members of the 200th Coast Artillery, New Mexico National Guard. So soon after the bombing of Pearl Harbor on December 7, 1941, Japanese forces began the invasion of the Philippines. They captured the Philippines. It was crucial to the Japanese. It would bring them one step closer to control the Southwest Pacific, right? So, Philippines were just as important to the U.S. Having troops in the Philippines gave the U.S. footing in Southwest Pacific. So after the invasion of the Philippines, U.S. Filipino troops defended the crucial lands, right?
Yep.
So these brave soldiers were responsible for the defense of the islands of Luzon. I can't even say these words, but a few different islands and harbor defense forts of the Philippines. They fought in the malaria infested region and survived on little portions of food, some living off half or quarter rations. And the soldiers lacked medical attention. The U.S. medics did what they could to help people and their fellow soldiers, and they fought with outdated equipment and virtually no air power. And that's because the Japanese basically still controlled that area, right?
Yeah, right.
So the soldiers retreated to the Philippine Peninsula when Japanese forces were reinforced and overwhelmed the U.S. Filipino soldiers. And on April 9th, 1942, the soldiers surrendered after 7 months of battle, combined with exposure to extreme elements, disease, and lack of vital supplies. Tens of thousands of U.S. Filipino soldiers were forced to become prisoners of war to the Japanese, and the soldiers faced horrifying conditions and treatment as POWs. Soldiers were deprived of food, water, medical attention, and forced to march 65 miles to confinement camps throughout the Philippines. So the captive soldiers were marched for days, approximately 65 miles through the scorching jungles of the Philippines. Thousands died, and those who survived faced the hardships of POW camps and brutality of their Japanese captors. So this basically is during the Bataan Death March, approximately 10,000 died.
Wow.
1,000 were Americans, 9,000 were Filipinos. And this had a huge impact on the New Mexico families for, that were part of this. And of the 1,816, around 200 and 500, the 200 of the 18, Jesus Christ, of the 1,816, 200th and 515th Coast Artillerymen identified, 829 men were to never return home, losing their lives in battle, in the prison, or after liberation.
Wow.
So almost 2/3. Or no, sorry. Yeah, shit. There's about, no, it says 1,800 and 829. So whatever the math is on that. Not good, either way. So a lot. World War II, the bloodiest war in history, claimed 60 million lives and ended on September 2nd, 1945. So March 21st, 2020 marks the 79th anniversary of the Bataan Death March. So this Bataan Memorial Death March started in 1989 and goes until the present. The Army ROTC department of the New Mexico State University began sponsoring this march in 1989. The Memorial March was to mark a page in history that included many native sons and affected many families in the state. In 1992, White Sands Missile Range, which I've been to, it's freaking cool.
Yeah.
And the New Mexico National Guard joined in the sponsorship, and the event was moved to White Sands Missile Range. So for the first time in 2003 in its history, the Bataan Memorial Death March was canceled for Operation Iraqi Freedom, and this required extensive deployment among the units, blah, blah, blah. So the second time that it was canceled was in 2020 because of COVID-19. Social distancing practices put in place by the U.S. Army to prevent the spread of the virus kept it from happening. Since its inception, the Bataan Memorial Death March participation has grown from about 100 to the last time they had it in person was 9,600 marchers.
Holy cow.
Marchers come from across the United States and several foreign countries. While still primarily a military event, many civilians choose to participate. Participants get to choose between two courses, the 14.2-mile course and the 26.2-mile course. Marchers participate in the Bataan Death March for many reasons: personal challenges, spirit of competition, fostering esprit de corps in their units, blah, blah, blah. So
So it's
that's
basically
another,
it's either a half marathon or a full marathon, right?
right,
For the challenge.
correct. Yep, for the challenge.
And then this year they're doing it virtually?
It's done virtually.
Okay.
So obviously,
and when is that? What's the date?
It is. So it's a $55 registration fee. Gives your marcher packet, marcher t-shirt, commemorative dog tag, your bib, participation medal. Shipping is free, or shipping fee is included. The first 9,500 participants registered before March 22nd, 2021 will receive a full marcher packet before the event start date. Any registrations surpassing that and or received after March 22nd are not guaranteed the marcher packet, and that the packet may not arrive before the event due to shipping demands, potential delays, blah, blah, blah. So, but it is to be done. It says April 9th through 18th. There's all kinds of different eligible, like, divisions that you can enter in, teams, military divisions, all kinds of stuff. There's a lot of info here.
Yeah.
So, but it looks like April 9th through the 18th.
So you can almost do that one and piggyback
in conjunction.
off the
absolutely,
the Black Sunday Challenge. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I kind of wish it was.
You can knock out half your fucking.
Yeah. I kind of wish it was in a different month though, because I would like to really find like an event every month that.
Yeah, well,
you know
I'm sure we will, but I didn't, I didn't think about doing this until
just morning. Today. Yeah.
So I'll find a whole bunch, and yeah, we can make a calendar.
I'll make a sweet ass calendar, and we can make a PDF out of it.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
Boom, and then we could put it on our website and say, hey, if you want to plan out year-long challenges. Because, I mean, I don't know about you, but for me, the thing that I struggle the most with when it comes to physical activity is the monotony of doing the same thing over and over and over again.
Yeah, right.
All right. I like to change it up and do different things. And this would give us an opportunity to be able to put something together and say, hey, not only do you get to, try all these different things, but, you're introduced to different communities. There's different, and again, like anything, you get what you put into it, right? Or you get out of it what you put into it. And, a lot of these things, if you want to go full-fledged and, do the entrance packages and get all the swag, whatever you can, or you can just participate kind of outside of the fringes of the official. But, I mean, if you're supporting these, especially these nonprofits and things, you're supporting them, I mean, then that money that you're giving into those challenges go to a good cause. So, like, for me, I would much rather, when it comes to donations and things, I would much rather give back to little things like this than give to, because my company has a what's it called? It's like an organization where you can like donate to, and it's up to them on where that money goes, kind of thing.
Yeah.
I forget what it's called, and so it's like those are for people that just are interested in charity and giving something, and they don't really care where it goes. Like I like to be more specific about where my money goes if I'm going to donate it. So,
right,
very cool. I like
it. And then really the last type of event that I've got are just there's basically every service has their own marathon.
Oh yeah, it's true.
The most popular one is by far the Marine Corps Marathon.
Yeah,
which is in DC. And I mean, you have to to even participate in that is a challenge. to get tickets to participate, right? Is a challenge because you got to hook in with a nonprofit, and there's all kinds of things. Right.
At a barriers for entry there, huh?
Oh, there is because it's so popular that so many people want to do it. Now that this year, and I'm not really sure every year, but it's in March, this year.
Okay.
Right. And I think they're doing it, a lot of it's done, again, I think, virtually.
Yeah, right.
So you've got that. But the actual, all right, so here's what it is. The virtual events, they have various virtual events scheduled throughout the year, one of which is March 20th. The actual Marine Corps Marathon every year is held in September. So it's usually like Memorial or Labor Day. Is that
Okay.
Labor Day? So 10/31 this year, or around. It's like that weekend, right?
Yep.
But there's also there's a half marathon being run in May of this year too. So, and then there's the Marine Corps 17.75, which is March 20th as well. There's the Quantico Crucible. There's all kinds of events now. They've expanded the Marine Corps Marathon thing. So go to the website, check that out, right? But then there's the Army Marathon too, and the Army 10 miler. So these are big events every year as well. But their website, frankly, sucks.
Really?
So yeah, it sucks. So there really isn't any dates. There's nothing. It doesn't look like they've got anything planned per se, and it's really just kind of shitty. I'm not gonna lie.
So they need to update. Oh, I mean, it's in good fashion. A lot of military units have like really, really outdated websites for sure.
Horrible, crappy ones.
Yeah. It's like I created this with MySpace back in the day,
or whatever, right? So now, if you go to the Army 10 miler,
yeah,
that is a whole different animal.
okay,
The problem is, it's a great website, but of course, they still are in 2020 mode. They haven't updated anything.
oh, okay, yeah.
So that doesn't surprise me 1 ounce. And there is also an Air Force Marathon. And they, hold on. Sorry. Have a decent website as well.
I thought they just did like maybe like a rocking chair kind of thing.
Or maybe they just rode an exercise bike, right?
Exercise bike.
That's part of their PT test. So at least it used to be.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So anyway, there's also a Air Force Marathon. The problem is this year, folks, a lot of these events, they're either waiting to schedule, but the Air Force Marathon, this happens, I think it's annually, right? It's annually, and it's at Wright Pat Air Force Base, which is in Dayton, Ohio.
Okay.
And this year, I had it. This year, it is scheduled. They do have a tentative date. Christ. Technology is great sometimes, and sometimes it just sucks. There we go. Okay. There we go. It is the 25th annual Air Force Marathon, Wright Pat Air Force Base, Dayton, Ohio, September 18th, 2021.
Okay.
So that's a whole event. There's some other things going on too with that. There's a part of that you can do a relay. There's all kinds of things. So those are just some quick ones that we found, and we will come up with some more and create a whole calendar.
Yeah, calendar with
Probably
links to each
put
of the
it on
sites.
that. We could probably just post it on our site too, and have, just update it with different. It doesn't have to just be challenges, but it could be events, like military events of note.
Yeah, exactly. Gatherings,
Veteran events of note,
yeah.
and gatherings throughout. So that sounds like a good idea to put together.
You should do like a coherent breathing kind of a challenge thing. That would be cool.
Maybe, but I've been doing coherent breathing groups on what the heck's the name of the thing that we're live casting on right now?
Oh, on Clubhouse.
Clubhouse. Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yep.
Yeah,
So,
that'd be kind of cool. I mean, I just thinking, just kind of spitballing it, but yeah, I think that would be a great thing to put together.
and maybe even do like have it set up where you've got something, I don't know, man, guided, or it's somewhat guided.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah.
Like a 30-day
whatever,
guided
folks, meditation,
coherent breathing,
things like that. Have a mindfulness like challenge.
Yes.
Where every day we get together and do a different type of meditation or mindfulness exercise or something. That's a good idea. There we go. Spitballing.
That basically brings us to the end of the show. Our segment 3 again is actually our segment 4, which is the archive episode spotlight. Let's give that a little bit of a listen. "1730 hours on April 4th, 2004, Sadr City of Baghdad, Iraq.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar.
1st Platoon, Charlie 25 Cav, was escorting a sewage truck in the southern part of the city.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar.
1755 hours as the sun began to set.
أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله.
3 large groups of men scattered to the north as the patrol approached.
أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله.
Everyone in the patrol began to scan their sectors.
أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله.
The city of over 2 million people grew eerily quiet. And then,
أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله.
what started as sporadic gunfire quickly became overwhelming from all directions. Enemy forces across the city called to arms by the echoing calls of prayer, bouncing from one minaret to the next.
على الصلاة.
This sparked a chain reaction that threw the 1st Brigade Combat Team, 1st Cav Division, headlong into the battle we now call Black Sunday. I am your host, Eddie Lazary, and on this series of episodes, I will be talking to the troops who were there and their families. We will be following and discussing The Long Road Home, a 7-part miniseries in the National Geographic Channel. If you or someone you know served during the Battle of Sadr City, I want to talk to you. Join us over at our closed Facebook group, 04-04-04. Now let's meet our next guest.
It's getting to be a smaller and smaller army because I'm seeing so many of the same people, especially now that I'm at Benning. I'm running into like a lot of people, a lot of NCOs, a lot of leaders.
This is Salvador Zuniga, our 2nd Platoon leader, Rider Platoon, of Charlie Troop, 10th Cavalry, 1st Brigade Combat Team, 1st Cavalry Division. We were the Brigade Reconnaissance Troop, serving as the Brigade QRF. This is our look back on the first few weeks of our deployment, OIF-2.
He'd been in Brigade S3 when we were deployed in OIF. I worked for General Esperance back here. He was the Brigade XO at the time, back in OIF2. There were a lot of guys who were captains and lieutenants that were now field grades during the deployment in Afghanistan. Ran into Sergeant Major Salmon while I was downrange in Afghanistan. General Abrams brought him into the jock and went, "Hey, look who I found." I was like, "Wow." So yeah, it's been an interesting time. I would tell you that what we had in the BRT, it was difficult. A year later, and I took command in 2007, and I took command of a troop in combat, and it was very difficult to try to achieve what we had in the BRT. Mm. We were so fortunate to have such an A-list of people. Looking back on it, guys who like Scott, and they went. Everybody starbursted out to other units afterwards. It was kind of sad. We were too good, so they had to do away with us.
Right.
They can't be a 10th Cav ever again in 1st Cav. Sorry, you guys were just too damn good. And I joke around and say that, but the honest take on it was we set a very high standard. Mm-hmm. And so when I took command of A Troop 19, it was one, they just lost 3 soldiers. So coming in after that and saying, "Hey, we got to be aggressive," that's how you keep the enemy off balance. That's how if you take the fight to the enemy, trust me, guys, you're gonna bring everybody home. I just want to make it to the end of the deployment. Hey, man, that's not how it works. And of course, the enemy gets a vote, but we did very well. But when we got back and we reset and we were trying to get ready for the next deployment, I was trying to achieve the BRT standard, and I was very fortunate that I had a command group that just let me do what I wanted to do, and you just couldn't get to that. There's no amount of training, no amount of effort. You just couldn't get back to that cowboy troop level.
Now, do you think it was because, we did a lot of training leading up to it, and there was a lot of time spent in garrison, back at Fort Hood, out in the field, at NTC, not in the combat zone. I knew my guys for 3 and 4 years before we deployed, so we kind of had the luxury of that bonding period before we went into combat. And then it seemed like after we got back, like you said, everybody kind of starbursted out. Everybody went their own direction. And then it just went into this high op tempo where it was deployment after deployment after deployment. And you lost that cohesiveness with that team, because now you're with a guy for 12 months and then you redeploy and you go to another unit, or they leave, they go to another unit. And it just seems like for the last, better part of 10 years, it seems like it's just been kind of that way.
Yeah, and so just give you an example, I went to 4th Brigade, 1st Cav, and they went from stand-up to deployment in 10 months. Wow. 10 months. And so you could have done that with a unit that had stayed together.
Yeah, right.
Just imagine if we'd come back in 2005 and nobody PCS'd anywhere. Mm-hmm. You did some inter-brigade moves, but for the most part, the family stayed within earshot. Because mid deployment, I went to the brigade headquarters, and you guys, a couple of guys, the XO, Chris Christian went to brigade, when we were down there in OIF, too. Had that stayed like that, if we had stayed very regimental, I think we would have been okay. Because I look at the Ranger Regiment, I look at SOF, those guys stay together. You stay behind the fence as long as you want, and they usually stay as a group the whole time.
Right.
And so I think that's where, of course, Big Army has to manage the whole force. And I think had we stayed as a unit, maybe things would have been, you would have had a degradation. I think you would have had it, because every time, like the boss, he brought all these 1st Cav guys to 3ID when we went to Afghanistan. And I was like, he's bringing the band back together. That was the running joke. We're 1st Cav East, because you looked everywhere and everybody had a combat patch from 1st Cav. So you're like, you were 1st Brigade. Holy shit, everybody here's, so it kind of, we were talking one night outside, and I said, what made us a great unit was we had time to develop a sense of brotherhood.
Right. That's a good show, man. I mean, first I had a lot of the intro.
Reservations. You had a lot of reservations in general.
Yeah, when I first started this series, I was like, I wasn't sure where it was going to go. I wasn't entirely sure who would be even interested in coming on and talking about this and sharing their stories and experiences. But wow, man, it's one of my, of all the shows that we've done, 500 something shows now, I think the series on the Black Sunday is probably some of my favorite ones in terms of like a series.
Right.
And but also, if you're listening to this right now and you served in that area during that time, and you want to come on the show and would be willing to talk about your experiences during the April 4th, 2004.
And maybe from a different unit or something too.
Right. Absolutely.
That was involved in all that.
Yeah. Then hit us up. Let me know, and I'd love to get you on and build out or continue to build out that series, right?
Absolutely.
Because right now there's 13 episodes in that series. But yeah, I'm not opposed to expanding that and adding more episodes to that for sure.
Absolutely.
Cool, man. Well, that's all I got. What do you got? Anything else you got?
Yeah, that's it. That's all that I've got for today.
Enjoy the Super Bowl.
Go Bucks.
Go Bucks. And if you haven't done so...
I say that because I know there's some people that listen to this that are friends of ours that are Kansas City, like diehard Kansas City fans.
Yeah.
So too bad, so sad. Sorry that you're going to lose. I guess we'll know whenever, come Wednesday, it'll be, when you hear this, you'll be like, yeah, well, you suck and you're wrong.
Well, I will tell you, so just so everyone's aware, everyone's going to be talking about two big things this Super Bowl. One, the fact that this is the first time Super Bowl's ever been held at one of the home stadiums, right?
Yep.
That's going to be the first thing that everyone's going to talk about. And the other thing is this Super Bowl will be the first Super Bowl where we have a woman officiating the Super Bowl. Yep. So you're definitely going to hear about that. And then also you're going to hear about how Tom Brady is
the greatest of all time.
Yeah.
Basically.
So those are the three things that you're going to hear.
Which I think he already is.
Ad
and
nauseam.
People are screaming at me right now.
Yes.
But I don't care. But I think his record speaks for itself, and you can grasp onto your bullshit little straws that you want to. But yeah, he's
think about this. Of his 20-year football career, he has been to the Super Bowl 10 times.
Yeah.
So that's
exactly
50%.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Right? You got some
50%. And he's got a better than 50% winning average in the Super Bowl. So shut the fuck up, everyone. Like, I don't care what you say. People are like, oh, well, what about Joe Montana? Yeah, Joe Montana's a great quarterback. I loved him. Awesome. And yet they throw other names out too. But the bottom line is, when you talk about complete quarterback or talk about complete player, let's not even talk quarterback.
Yeah.
Overall player, the greatest of all time. Like, how can you even say that he's not? Like,
exactly.
It's just you're a butthurt individual. That's what it is.
Yeah. The only reason
you might not like him, but give the man some respect when it comes to that.
I think the only reason he'll end up, whenever he decides to leave, which I don't think it's going to be too much longer in the future, I think he'll hang it up, but it's because eventually they're going to get to the point where, like, Tom, listen, buddy, we don't make Super Bowl toe rings. So
right, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, 10, man.
10's the limit, man. That's all you can get.
That's all you can do.
That's all the fingers you have.
Absolutely. So.
All right. Well,
exactly.
Enjoy your Super Bowl Sunday, sir, and look forward to chatting with you next week. Don't forget to check out Black Sunday Challenge. Head over to changeyourpov.com. At the top, click on Black Sunday Challenge. It'll give you all the information, links on how you can participate. Come be part of the group over at 040404 and connect with the community, connect with us. Be a part of the challenge and share your experience. Love to see you over there.
Until next time.
Thank you for listening to Change Your Point of View podcast. Pull up a chair and get a seat at the table and be a part of the conversation. Connect with us over on Facebook at our closed Facebook group called Change Your POV Squad. Let us know what you think of the show, good, bad, or indifferent. We'd love to hear your thoughts.